Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's August 9th, 2022, and today I thought I'd do a little bit of an update on the status of the ponds, the larger bodies of water that we have on the property here. My brother Jim had asked how are things going with the ponds, and I'm sure other people wonder as well since we've had this drought. Today is an oddity. So over the last 24 hours, we've gotten 4/10 of an inch of rain, which is absolutely fantastic. And there's actually, it's down into the 70s right now. I think around 77, 78 degrees, somewhere around in there. It feels cool to me. And it's very overcast, and there's a nice light mist. Really, this is fantastic because that's going to keep all the dust down that we've been dealing with all the road work that I've been doing. So one of the things I thought I'd start off by doing, my brother Jim had asked about, geez, have we ever thought about, since we have problems with this is all gravel, our property is here. And of course, I've been putting in the hugelkultur pits, which retain water. We've got 7 ponds we put on the property, 2 of which that we have issues with them losing water. Pond 6 completely loses the water. It's bone dry right now because it's all sand there, and the water just works right through the soil. Pond 5 is down quite a bit, and that's one that we did lots of cardboard pond sealing for several years. So it's much better now, and there's lots of videos that I've done on that whole topic as well. But my brother Jim, realizing that we've had trouble with maintaining water levels in our ponds, especially this time of year when we get our droughts, he suggested, geez, have you ever thought about using, like at the dirt tracks, stock car racing, modified racing and all, they use a big water tank mounted on a truck, similar to the big septic tanks that you've seen, or the water tanks that people are using to top off their wells. Around here, the wells are always getting topped off, people coming in doing it. That would be financially very difficult to swallow. And so what I have done, so all of these trees here, so all of these flowering trees here, the catablas, the blue spruce all along the road here, all of these trees, and lots of the trees in the first food forest, which was all barren land after 2003 with an ice storm. We had one white birch. I think that was the only one for a few acres around there. Now that's all forested. But what I had was, and this is Pepe that I'm on right now, the little Kawasaki 3010 mule, and I would haul behind this a 300-gallon tote, and I would go down to the pond, use a gasoline-powered water pump, and fill up the 300-gallon tote, fill that up twice, and that would take a couple of hours out of my night each night, and make sure that I watered all of these trees after we got them into the ground so that we wouldn't lose them. And that worked out extremely well. And I did that for a couple of years. But that would be making 2 trips a night, unless it rained, to get these trees watered in. When we get to pond 5, the one that's leaking down now, that's about 300,000 gallons. It would take about 1,000 trips, and it would take weeks to do that because the time it would take to fuel up, to fill up a 300-gallon tank, and then using the diesel for this Pepe, it'd just be time and cost restrictive. And the same thing with hiring the water services to come and do it, because they hook up to the hydrants, the fire hydrants at the various stations and fill up their, might be 1,000-gallon tank, and then deliver it to the people to top off their wells because their wells keep going dry. So those are systems that just are not practical, not cost effective, and certainly aren't time effective. So, and I've talked before about hooking up a solar water pump down at the Beaver Ponds, which we'll go down to. That'll be the last pond that we go to. But it's an idea, but it just, with time restrictions and cost, it just wouldn't pay. For example, we'll drive by one of my 300-gallon tanks, which is a diesel tank that I fuel up all the fuel here in the property, and you'll get to see the size of that 300-gallon tank, which is the type that I tow behind Pepe here. So here's pond 1. It's down probably 2 foot in depth right now. It has a large marginal zone. I've gone over all these topics in the past. One of the things that really has worked out extremely well, and it was pretty much an accident when we dug the pond, we already had hugelkultur pits in, and the area that's really thick over there to the far side, that's where we tapped into a hugelkultur pit. So wherever the hugelkultur pits are, the water really goes in underground in those areas and stays saturated, and it helps to create tremendous biodiversity. Lots of the minnows like going into that area as well, probably to protect themselves from the larger fish that are here. So we're going to get on Pepe now, and we'll get down to where pond 2 is. Again, all of this was all cleared, all of this land except for a few maples and this one large willow here. So this all was cleared in 2010, and this has all the hugelkultur pits in it all along in here. There are swales, and of course 4/10 of an inch of rain just gets absorbed into the soil, but it helps to recharge collect the water in the swales, which recharge the hugelkultur pits and will feed the ponds if the water gets deep enough. So this is the third food forest here. There are swales that I filled in here, hugelkultur pits in here. We'll be working on this more next year, most likely. This is the area that I harvested the shallots and the garlic out of. This area here is all gooseberries, currants, and various fruit and nut trees. This is all the horseradish, which I'm going to take out. Grapevines I haven't gotten to over there, the hazelnuts, and I may go through those and make another video show you where we are. But we'll go up to pond 2 here. So the change in elevation from up there where pond 1 is, and pond 1 actually feeds into the forest over here, which I need to put one more pond in here, possibly 2 ponds, and a vernal pool up in the forested area here, and we'll go over that in future videos. But there's a change in elevation just about 6 feet from where pond 1 is, feeding down here into pond 2. And this is all gravel as well, but this pond is done extremely well. The spillway that dumps this pond is directly opposite of me here. So when we're down there, you'll see a couple of lines on either side of the spillway where the water works its way in. There's also, and so yeah, the pond level is down about 2 feet, maybe 2.5 feet down right here. Maybe 2 3/4 feet. But having as much vegetation around, and again with this pond, there's a large hugelkultur pit where it's the thickest over there. That's where there's a large hugelkultur pit that we dug into there. And when we dug this pond, the water just poured out of that hugelkultur pit. So these hugelkultur pits are an integral part, and that's why I'm doing so much work in the forest down there now, because water is so important to us. And the swales that go up along the road there, they come down and drain right along in here and feed into this. There's an underground culvert that goes across into pond 2 here, and then that swale down there, which goes down into the soil collecting way down there. So the soil collecting canal is a tapered system. We're going to go down to that right now. I'm facing the camera towards me instead of the direction that we're coming from. We're in the second food forest right now. And the reason I'm facing it this way is because as I'm driving, I don't want the water to get all over the lens of the camera. But as the water runs down along so it's crowned in the center of the driveway there, and as the water works its way down into this side, it works its way down here into the sediment collecting canal. There's another swale right over in here with all these fruit nut trees up in there. And so the water works its way down here. And this whole area will be worked again. So as sediment collects in here, we get lots of vegetative growth that builds soil. Oh, sorry about not directing the camera correctly. But this will be soil that we use in different parts of the property, in the forest and in the gardens as well. So right here, the pond 2 is right up over there, and you may be able to see it. There's a line there and a line here, and so there's a spillway that comes from pond 2 when it overflows, works its way down into this sediment collecting canal. Lots and lots of cattails, lots of wildlife in this area. And so this sediment collecting canal system, because it gets the sediment in it, it helps to seal the base of it. Again, this whole property is gravel and sand. Now you'll see the vegetation becomes less and less as the depth of this sediment collecting canal system gets deeper. Now you'll start seeing stones up there to help hold back the soil, but all wood down in here. So if you search the channel for hugelkultur terrace, there's stacks and stacks of wood working its way up, and then there's soil covering it up in there. So it's a hugelkultur terrace across over there. There you can see some of the logs that are exposed right in that area. And when the water raises, so it's down about 2 feet right in here. When it raises up, the sediment for the most part has already been deposited in that canal. Then the clear water will work its way across the access road here and down into the bioremediation canal system. Now I've been over this stuff so many times in other videos, but there's 2 sets of block walls here. There's this upper wall you see here, and then there's another wall that retains the walls of the lower canal. So this canal system, by the margins being around it, helped to break down all of the inorganic and organic material into their basic elements that feed the rest of the systems around here and deactivates harmful chemicals. That's, I guess, the simplest way to talk about it. And this feeds over into pond 3 over there, which we'll go to in a moment. And the water works its way back out, goes under the access road right here, and goes over to there, the rest of the bioremediation canal system, to pond 4. So, and this is all of our, well, weeds in here now, but there's lots of asparagus. So this is asparagus. We let it get up here. It'll start producing seed soon as well. We'll come over here real quick. And here's pond 3 over here. So up in that direction is the stone wall that I've been working on. Over in there is the forest where all the hugelkultur pits are. But this is an island in the center of pond 3. This one gets so much shade because of all the trees around it. It blocks the southern exposure, so this one doesn't drain as quickly. And this one's been in here 20 years now, I think. Gosh, time flies so quickly. So go back over here, and we'll just go over here, the rest of the bioremediation canal system here, to to orient you, the garden plots are all around here, the house over here. This is more of the bioremediation system. Water works its way under the driveway here, goes through this system here, and into the rest of the bioremediation system. So that's down about 12 inches right here. Pond 4 will be. Maybe. So each one of those blocks is 4 inches tall. It's down 3 blocks. Let's see over here. Yeah, so this pond is down about, so this is pond 4. It's down about just over 1 foot in depth. And again, you can see there's double layers of block wall over there. There's the outer wall that I'm standing next to, and then the inner wall, which is easier to gauge the depth of the water. So, and again, this is all bioremediation in this canal system. And bioremediation, quite simply, is one of our ways, nature's way of breaking down natural compounds and man-made compounds into their basic elements, using mycology, you know, the science of fungal organisms, certainly used in phytoremediation, using plants to break things down as well. And so we can break things down into their basic elements, except for those things that are called forever chemicals, which are man-made, and that's in our rainwater. So that's a 300-gallon tank right there that I have the fuel company come and fill up my diesel fuel. That's my portable 116-gallon tank. But 300 gallons, that's about what Pepe pulled around in the property. But the pond that we're going to go to next is 300,000 gallons. There are online calculators, so you can see, you know, there's tons of them to do all the calculations, so you actually get a good idea of how many gallons are in a pond or in a swimming pool. There's all different calculators online. I'm actually driving in a swale right now. There's a coop over there. He's in there working right now. And we're going to come up along pond 5. This is the pond that I've been working on for several years. I haven't done anything last year, this year. There's quackers over there on the island. But as you can see, the water level has really dropped a lot. It's dropped about 5 to 6 feet. So there's still another 4.5 foot down in there, but in prior years, this would have been bone dry by this time. But this is where we used all of the cardboard and paper products year after year after year, and that all broke down into simple organic matter, and it's helped to seal the base of the pond. And we also use vegetation from our gardens. We use wood chips to cover up the cardboard as well, and lots of weeds from around here. So we'll see how bad things get. Today's a nice break in the weather that we've had. But this is pond 5, which was the biggest pond that I've been trying to seal. Pond 6, I really haven't done anything with other than dig it out right after I got Elon, which was probably a year ago. Now, I still have to dig that one out more, but that one's just about all pure sand down in that area. This is all living fences that we're going along right now. This is the almond forest area here. The first food forest is over to the other side. One second. On the other side of the almond forest here. And it isn't just almond trees in here. There's blueberry bushes, there's apple trees, but it's predominantly almond trees. Unfortunately, we haven't had the time to come down here and work on the area that we put the raspberry plants over here, which are completely overgrown by all the weeds. So this is pond 6 right here. This is the one that goes dry every year. And so this is it. This is a little bit of the water catchment from the 4/10 of an inch. I want to dig this out a little bit more, but it's sand and gravel, but you can see right at the base there, it's all sand. And the water just works right through this so rapidly. But this drain, the water fills this from pond 5 up there, works its way down around the big swale system, comes in here, and we have another system here that drains a small vernal pool that's over there in the forest over in that direction there. So there's still a lot more work to do as far as you know, getting our pond set. We're going to try and seal this one up eventually, or we'll make it a hugelkultur pit. The spillway for this pond is right down here into pond 7. And I believe it was 2 years ago that I redug pond 7. But the weather started raining, so I didn't get it as deep as I wanted to, or as long as I wanted it to. So if our drought gets worse, I'll be working on that pond. And if you watch the videos with me digging in sand and gravel for the hugelkultur pit videos, and you know about gravel, how it's so porous, it really allows the water to drain, seep through it. Ideal for septic systems or draining water out of systems. That's why we put in all the hugelkultur pits in there. So this is pond 7. And again, this is all sand and gravel, except for the section down at that end, which has enough sediment in it at this point, that part is sealed up, but it still leaks in this area. And we're down almost 3 feet in depth at this area. And but I'll dig the rest of this out as soon as it gets dry enough. And then I'll reforest around the margins of this one, and I'll put in another bioremediation system in here as well. Our goal is to constantly do as much as we can to capture, store, to slowly recharge the aquifer, but as much as we can, we want to try and do the bioremediation to remove as much waste as possible. So we'll go down to the Vernal Pool area. I haven't posted a video on this yet, but I've been working down and back here some. Besides doing the roadways and the rest of the things you've seen us doing. One thing I love about working in the forest, it's at least 10 to 15 degrees cooler than working out every place else around here. So we're coming to the spillway of the Vernal Pool, which I have been working on. As you can see, there's some trees down here that I took down. So we're going through the spillway now. So, as you may be able to appreciate here in the ground, we have the deep, rich, black soil that you can see on the other side right over there. And that's a good 1.5 feet deep. in some places. Some places it's 2 feet deep. Some places it's only a foot deep. This maple still had some life in it. That maple there is all dead. And so there's a couple of dead ash I need to take out. But I decided to come over here since it was bone dry. And you can see this area over here. This area I did not dig out at all since I dug it out earlier this summer or late spring. So I put in this canal system here. There's a video that I posted about this, about doing the spillway from the lower Beaver Pond and all. And I got stuck over there where all the grass is, and with the Hulk, and then I had to get it out and all. So I made a video about that. So I've decided, oh, we're getting some rain right now. So I decided a couple of days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, to come down here. This is all bone dry in here. And I decided to work my way in and take the material from the base of this and put it up here so I have a little bit firmer base. And I need to take these root balls out, take this tree material out, because I'll be taking this and encouraging the beaver to build a new dam. And I'll explain that in a couple of minutes. I want them to change their design a little bit. So we're going to help them out, because one of the things that the beaver do, they drop the trees and they use that as a basic scaffolding to start building their bridges between stone mounds or high ground level areas. So I dropped a few trees in here that were dead or almost dead, and this is the area where there will be a large pond that I'm going to put in this area, and vernal pools around it. And I made videos about vernal pools and all. But after digging this out, the very next morning the water was right up to this level. Kind of amazing. So this is all sand down in here. So this is the water table line right here at this point. So this is the area that I'll be digging out. It won't be a huge pond, but it'll work its way around the area that was vernal pool. Then I'll be putting the vernal pools in the lower pockets around the margins over in there. And again, this will be an area that drains from the lower Beaver Pond right over there. We'll be going over there in just a minute. So this is what it looks like right now after just a few days being here. Within 2 months, it'll look like this. And I did spread some more soil down in here the other day. And I took this tree down and filled in the hole with the sand here, but this is all what I did previously in a prior video, this whole area here. So I've got a lot of work to do down in this area, but we'll go over to the Beaver Ponds, which since we've changed in elevation, so we're at 450-foot elevation at the top of the property, up there where Pond 1 is, and also in an area in the forest where I've been working and putting in hugelkultur pits. And here I'm standing at 405-foot elevation where I am right now. So we've dropped 45 feet in elevation. And the material, the ground, starts off as really bony, really big rocks in the gravel up there. And we get down to very sandy material right down here. This is the lower Beaver Pond. This isn't the lowest one. The lowest one is way over that way. And I'll just show you, just drove over this. So this is where the beaver work back and forth every night and some of the daytime. You can see their little spots. They make their way up and they have their trails. I haven't got a lot of footage of it, but I do watch it at times. This is the pond area where the youngest, this past winter's births are growing. And they're experimenting say. Okay, so the lower Beaver Dam wall is here. The road's built alongside of it. The upper Beaver Dam wall is here. The road is built alongside of this. There's a beaver den under the road in this area right in here. The young beaver playground is, hope I'm trying to adjust the camera. The young beaver playground is in this area. They're training pools, I'll call them. Those are this year's babies. Now we're on the new property that we purchased here. I did set up a camera here, so if I catch any of the beaver here this morning, going back and forth. I see them in the morning, but they always get a little bit nervous. So these spillways, so this beaver pond is all the way right at the top, and they're always leaking down through the various spillways. They're always wet, even during the hottest time of the season. And this is the roadway that I've been working on here. And the beaver dam wall is all up in here. And every few years I see the new changes that they make in their dam walls. And so as you can see, this is some of the foundation level, the stone that I put in here. Then I put the gravel on top of it. So here, and I'll shoot some more drone footage eventually, you probably can't see. Way over there is the rookery, and so all the herons have left their nests now, and the big beaver pond is way out there. This is a secondary one that they put in, probably about 6 years ago, I'd say, 8 years ago, and I built the gravel stoneway driveway up over in here. But somewhere after this point over here, it goes into a neighbor's property, so I stopped going here. And so the plan is, since we got tree lines right here and it's high ground right here, what I'm going to do is go ahead and encourage the beaver to build their dam wall right here, and then I'll build the driveway right up over here. So I'll drop some trees right in here for the beaver to have scaffolding, and there's just a small spot here that goes onto our neighbor's property, and that way they won't have to deal with that. It can drain naturally and all, and this way we still maintain all of our spillways, so the pond isn't going to get any larger. We can manage it, but the more water that we are able to manage and sink into the aquifers, good, clean, fresh water, the better. And I won't go to the area right now, but around, well, we might take a ride over in that area. So several years ago, I did dig with my friend John, before I had the excavator and all. We dug some trenches and put in a water line going all the way down to this beaver pond, but at a different location. And someday I hope to put in a solar powered water pump that can pump the water up to pond 3, and pond 3 feeds into pond 4, 5, and 6. So during the daytime it'll pump, and during the evening hours it won't pump. So walk over here. So this little gravel spot here is a thing that I built so that we can bring the boat down in here, which I bought a couple years ago and have not taken the opportunity to get it out here into the pond. So over there in that section there is where the pipe comes up for pumping water up 45 feet in elevation to the pond 3. So that's an update on how our ponds are doing. I'll try and do a walkthrough in the first food forest, the second food forest, and third food forest, but this video is getting extremely long. But I wanted to explain some of the things that we've been doing and the progress of the ponds. I hope you folks enjoyed this. If you did, give us a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and take good care of yourselves, folks. Bye-bye now.